The morning I found out my brother sold me out, I was sitting in the back of a cruiser with blood on my shirt and a 1,000-yard stare. The cuffs were tight, the kind that cut into your skin just enough to let you know this wasn't a misunderstanding. Up until that moment, I would have taken a bullet for my brother Josh. Hell, I almost did, more than once. But when I saw the look on Detective Meyer's face, equal parts pity and triumph, I knew something wasn't right. "You should have talked to us first," she said, flipping through a folder she'd been holding since they picked me up from my apartment in Haverhill. "You might have walked away from this." I didn't say anything. She leaned closer. "Your brother already has. It started 3 months ago with a call I should have let go to voicemail." "Hey, I need a favor," Josh said, his voice low like he was in a public place. "You still have that garage space out in Danvers?" "Yeah? Why?" "I need to store something there for a bit, couple days tops. It's sensitive." That should have been my first red flag. But this was Josh, my older brother, the one who punched out my high school bully and paid off half my rent during that rough patch in 22. "Yeah, man, you got the keys." I didn't ask what he needed to store. I didn't want to know. That's the thing with family. You don't interrogate, you cover. The garage sat behind a row of abandoned townhouses, tucked beneath a rotting maple tree that shed leaves like it was trying to bury the truth. When I went by a few days later to check, the place reeked of gasoline. A tarp covered something large, car-shaped but bulkier. I didn't look under it. Again, didn't want to know. By the second week, unmarked cars started circling the block. My neighbor, a retired vet who didn't miss much, called to say a couple suits had knocked on his door asking about me. I called Josh. "Dude, what the hell is this?" "Relax," he said. "It's nothing serious, just a little heat from some bad decisions. You know how it is." He sounded calm. Too calm. "Just tell me it's not drugs," I said. A pause. "It's not drugs." The arrest came 2 days later. They got me outside a Dunkin' before work, threw me against the hood, read me my rights like I was some low-level thug. Inside the precinct, Myers dropped the bomb. "Your brother's already cut a deal, gave us everything we needed." I laughed, short and bitter. "That's funny." "No, Tyler, it's tragic." She slid the folder toward me. "He told us about the car, the location, even said you offered to help clean up the mess. Said you were part of it from the beginning." I stared at the papers, his handwriting, his signature, the timestamp from yesterday. I shook my head, trying to process. He said, "What?" They gave me a choice: roll on Josh and maybe walk with probation, or stay loyal and take the fall. Funny how fast love turns into leverage. I asked for a lawyer. 3 days passed before I heard from Josh again. He called collect from some safe holding facility. "You okay?" he asked. "You really did it, huh?" Silence. "I didn't have a choice, Ty." "The hell you didn't?" They had pictures, records, texts. They were going to put both of us away forever. "So you picked you." He didn't deny it. "I thought you'd understand." And that was it. That's when I knew. This wasn't just betrayal. This was survival. Family was supposed to mean something. But to Josh, it meant something different. It meant someone else to blame. My public defender looked like he hadn't slept since the Bush administration. He skimmed my file like it was someone else's life, then looked up at me with tired eyes. "You're looking at 3 to 5 if this goes to trial," he said, tapping the folder. "If you flip on your brother, maybe 2 years, possibly probation with good behavior. First offense, minor record, no violent priors." I clenched my jaw. I'm not testifying against him. He sighed. "I've been doing this for 19 years. And let me tell you something about blood. It runs cold fast once you're both in the system." "I'm not flipping," I repeated. He leaned back in his chair, shrugged. "Then buckle up." I sat in that cell for 48 hours before they moved me to county. It was loud, ugly, and full of guys who smelled like regret and bleach. You learn fast who to talk to and who to avoid. Me? I kept my head down. What burned the most wasn't the cot or the food. It was knowing Josh was out there, free, probably sleeping in his bed, eating takeout, watching ESPN like nothing happened. I thought about Mom, about what she'd say if she knew what Josh did. But I couldn't bring myself to call her. Not yet. Instead, I waited. And then something strange happened. 3 days in, a guard slid a manila envelope through the slot in my cell door. "Legal mail," he muttered. Inside, a flash drive, a typed note, and a hand-scribbled message that said only, "You didn't know everything. Watch this." C. No return name, no address. I knew someone with access would have to view it, so I flagged my lawyer. "Chain of evidence," he said. "We'll screen it together." The footage was grainy but clear enough. A timestamp from 2 weeks before my arrest. Josh's garage. 2 men moving something heavy into the trunk of a black SUV. Not me. One of them was definitely Josh. The other, I couldn't see his face clearly, but he was taller, broader. He moved like someone who knew what he was doing. "You see that?" I pointed at the screen. "That's not me." My lawyer nodded slowly. "Could help. Still circumstantial. The DA has Josh's statement, your fingerprints on the garage, and text logs between you two. But this puts another player in the mix. Could create doubt." It wasn't much, but it was the first breath of air I'd felt since the walls started closing in. 2 days later, Myers came knocking again. She looked less smug this time. "You've got someone in your corner," she said, folding her arms. "We got an anonymous tip, same footage your lawyer submitted. Makes your brother's statement look a little incomplete." I said nothing. "Funny how that works. Loyalty's a funny thing, huh?" I stared at her. "What happens now?" She shrugged. "Depends. Your lawyer's filing a motion. Might change the whole direction of this case. Might not. But I'm curious. If someone planted that footage to help you, why didn't they come forward?" I didn't answer, because I had no clue either. But I had a theory. Someone out there knew the truth. Maybe someone closer to Josh than even I realized. That night, back in my cell, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the footage in my head. The way Josh avoided the camera. The way he looked over his shoulder, once, quickly, almost like he knew he was being watched. Then I remembered something he'd said on that first call. "It's sensitive." What if it wasn't just about moving a car? What if Josh had dragged me into something much bigger than I'd ever imagined? I thought I knew my brother, but now I wasn't so sure. Because if he was willing to pin this all on me to save himself, what else was he hiding? Josh always had a gift for walking the edge without falling. He was the kind of guy who could cheat at cards and still get invited to the next game. But this time he was playing with fire and dragging me down with him. After the footage surfaced, my lawyer pushed for a bail hearing. It got approved. 10 grand, posted by a name I hadn't heard in over a decade. Casey Lanning. Casey was Josh's ex-girlfriend. High school sweetheart turned bar manager. She was sharp, loyal to a fault, and the last person I expected to see waiting outside the courthouse in a rusted-out Ford Bronco. "Get in," she said, barely making eye contact. We didn't speak until we hit Route 1. "You sent the video," I finally said. She nodded. "Why?" Her grip tightened on the wheel. "Because I know what he did, and I know it wasn't you." I stared at her. What exactly did he do? She pulled into a Walmart parking lot and cut the engine. I wasn't supposed to know, but I heard enough. Josh was moving something for a guy named Renner. Ever heard of him? The name punched a hole in my gut. Renner ran crews out of Revere. He wasn't just a dealer. He moved weapons, fake IDs, imported cars, federal-level stuff. You didn't cross him unless you had a death wish. "You're telling me Josh got in with Renner?" "More than in. He owed him. Bad. Took out a loan to float some gambling debts, tried to flip a few cars to pay it back. One went missing. Then Josh started panicking. That's when he brought you in. My stomach dropped. So I was cover. You were a decoy. Josh figured if Renner's people came asking, he could point the finger your way, claim you went rogue. I leaned back, eyes closed. Jesus Christ. He didn't think it would go this far, Casey said, but when the cops started closing in, he had to choose. He chose himself. Back at my apartment, emptied out, taped up, still half a crime scene, I dug through my backup drive. I wasn't just going to walk away from this. I needed proof, something Josh couldn't weasel out of. And I found it. A year-old group chat between me, Josh, and a third guy listed only as K. We'd used it to plan a fishing trip. Innocent enough until I scrolled up and found a message from Josh, buried in the thread. Got a guy who wants to move product, might use Ty's garage. He won't ask questions. Timestamp, location, clear as day. My lawyer called it a golden thread. He submitted it the next morning. That same day, Myers called me back in. Her tone was different this time, less adversarial, more cautious. We pulled Josh back in, she said. He's sweating. Told him we have a new witness. A witness? Casey agreed to testify. I didn't know whether to thank her or apologize. She said something I think you should hear, Myers continued, flipping open a notepad. She said Josh once told her, I'd never let Ty take the fall, unless it's both our necks or his. That hit like a punch to the chest, because it sounded exactly like him. Smart enough to plan a trap, cowardly enough to set it for his own brother. They gave Josh 48 hours to recant and cooperate. Instead, he vanished, cut off his ankle monitor, bailed on his safe address, gone. Just like that, he disappeared from the radar, leaving me to pick up the pieces. For the first time in my life, I started to see my brother not as someone I loved, but as someone I never really knew. The kind of person who sees love as a tool, and family as leverage. 2 weeks after Josh vanished, I got a call from a blocked number. I almost didn't answer, but something in me knew who it would be. Ty, he said, voice flat, almost hollow. Don't hang up. I didn't say anything. I didn't mean for it to go this far. I waited. I was trying to fix it. I figured if I made a deal, kept you out of it. Kept me out of it? I snapped. You named me Josh. You handed them a script and said I was in on it from the start. I panicked. No, you calculated. There was a pause, long and uneven. I'm in Philly, he finally said. I've got one shot left to make this right. I'm not helping you run. I'm not asking that. I need you to meet me. I almost laughed. So you can finish the job? But he said something next that stopped me cold. Renner's after both of us now. Casey thought I was out of my mind for even considering it. You go to Philly, you might not come back. He's still my brother, I said quietly. She gave me a look I'll never forget, a mix of disbelief and heartbreak. No, she said. He was your brother. The second he put your name on that affidavit, he made his choice. She wasn't wrong, but I needed to see him one last time, not to save him, to bury what was left of us. The meeting spot was a Greyhound station just outside the city. Public, cameras. Somewhere he figured he could control the damage. He looked rough, beard grown out, hoodie up, shadows under his eyes like bruises that never healed. You came, he said. Don't make me regret it. He pulled out a flash drive. This has everything. Messages, texts, money transfers, names of everyone Renner used. It's the only thing keeping me alive right now. Why give it to me? Because if I go down, I want to know someone else walks away clean. I took it, slipped it into my coat. Then I said what I'd needed to say for weeks. You were the one person I would have taken the fall for, Josh. I know, And you still chose yourself. I was scared. So was I. Difference is, I didn't run. He looked down, and then he walked away. The drive back was quiet. I gave the drive to Myers the next morning. It took 3 hours before she called again. "You have no idea what you just gave us," she said. "This blows open 3 federal cases." I didn't care. I just wanted it to be over. And slowly it was. Charges dropped, record sealed. Josh was officially a fugitive. I moved. New city, new job, cut ties with most of the past. Except Casey. We kept in touch, sometimes more than that. Some nights we talked about what it might have been like if none of this had happened. But it had happened. And Josh? He stayed a ghost. Rumors floated around. Someone saw him in Jersey. Someone else swore he got picked up in Montreal. But I never heard from him again. And I never looked. People like to say blood is thicker than water. But they forget the full quote. The blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. Loyalty, real loyalty, isn't about shared DNA. It's about who stands beside you when everything burns. And when it burned for me, Josh didn't just step back. He lit the match.